Speaking of execution, want to talk about the wall.
Oh, God.
I want to talk about everyone on this
That
show.
was the transition of a lifetime.
Speaking of execution, no, this one.
Advanced Raider, how about it?
Hey, John, your dad's outside. Oh, that was so dark. It was
Uncle.
Yeah. I know it was his uncle. I just made it much worse. Like, my dad's still alive? Yeah, it's been a lie the whole time. He's been
Got
alive.
some stitching on his
He's been
neck.
alive the whole time. So Shalyn, who is a great listener of the podcast, thank you, asks again, in terms of John, oh no, I'm sorry, this is Silver Blue.
Silver Blue.
Do you think that Melisandre basically, and this is a little complicated, this question, orchestrated John's death in order to bring him back for the greater good? I don't.
No.
I don't think it's that complex. I really think that they were just pissed off at him.
Yeah, we didn't get information that would lead us to believe she was pulling strings with the Night's Watch.
Right.
I mean, the Night's Watch had their own political issues well before she and Stannis showed up.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're supposed to infer that she even had to do anything. That's just their situation there.
Yeah.
But I will think she will see an opportunity there.
Sure.
Obviously, the one person who subscribes to the Lord of the Light, who we know can bring people back, happens to show up when a main character dies,
Right.
at the wall. We add all that together, it seems like, she might think, and she knows that there's power in King's blood,
Right.
and she might put 1 and 2 together. That I think a lot of us, and this is just a fan theory, but that he might be one of the son of the Targaryens, who are kings. So maybe she'll know that she'll pick up some clues or something and bring him back to be the Lord of Light reborn or something.
Right.
So now let me ask you guys this question, because we all are sort of assuming that John's going to come back, right? Because I think that we're all assuming, like, come on, you're not going to do that with another Stark, A. And B, like, are all the Starks just going to die? And B, that there's seemingly, according to so much fan theory, that there is unfinished business with John, you know? That he has a larger role to play in this. But what if he's just dead? Are you going to be are you going to be ripped apart as a fan?
I don't know about ripped apart, but the reason I don't think he's dead, again, because the books and show have pretty much caught up here, and he's left for dead in both. But it does seem, as much as this is a series that's always like, throwing you for a loop, and you thought Ned Stark's the hero, but he's not.
Yeah.
He's dead. Killing John, I actually think would be bad storytelling, or not killing John, because I do think he was killed, but taking John completely out of the story and never bringing him back, I think would be bad storytelling, because there's too much story around him.
Yeah.
There's too many unanswered questions about his parentage. There's too much going on with his role involving the White Walkers. Not to say it's impossible to do it without him, but it just feels like it would leave a void that's different than we tricked you thought Ned Stark would be the lead for the whole series.
Right.
This would be more like taking away, because Ned Stark's death still fueled the story.
Right, exactly.
Taking John out completely and never bringing him back, I think,
Diffuses the story.
puts too many dead ends, and that's why I don't think it's real. And that's why I think one way or the other he'll be back eventually.
So if he comes back, I'm asking you this, Joshua. So if he comes back, do you think that he's still going to identify himself as sort of a member of the Night's Watch, or does he just come back as something different? Does he come back? What if he comes back on the other side? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's going to come back as a. I think she's going to bring him back, right?
Yeah.
So I think he will still be sort of human.
Yeah. George R. R. Martin has said, he's very inspired by Lord of the Rings, and when Gandalf came back, he was a different person. He was still Gandalf who we knew, right?
Death would change you, right?
But death changes you. And like we saw with Beric, when he came, he used to be like this flamboyant knight, but when he's like very serious, like it takes a piece of you away.
It has a cost.
It has a cost, right?
Right.
So I think when we get John back, he will be different, and he'll probably be, he has a lot of compassion now. I wonder if will he lose that? Will that be the cost of him coming back? And will he come back as just a person? Will he have like powers or anything? In the book, I don't want to. This is a light book spoiler, I guess, but in the book he had a very close connection with Ghost.
Yeah, that is a light book spoiler. I don't think we're going to talk about that right now.
Okay, I will not. Maybe we'll save that for the end of my theories, but
I think I know where you're going, and I think but we won't talk about that right now. But I think that you're right, and there's another character that he talked about in that effect, that he's missing a character on the show that he felt, George R. R. Martin, that he felt illustrated how death changes a person. And so John may now be the stand-in and sort of be that. But that could lead to some very interesting story moving forward, because they really need the Night's Watch. They
Right.
absolutely, desperately need them at this point.
Yeah.
Right, because it could be Melisandre might bring him back for a very specific, like to fulfill a role. She's kind of has this preordained idea of here's what's going to happen. So yeah, she brings him back. But like you were saying, Joshua, he's not whole. He's not fully Jon. And then, you know, again, I know that this story has been done, but there's always new twists on it about, you know, the idea of like, can he get himself back? You know, it's like, okay, we've got him physically back in some form or another, but is it really Jon Snow? And can you really reclaim that person inside him?
Yeah.
And, like, whenever I think of like the show in like a larger scope, I always keep thinking that it's called A Song of Ice and Fire. And I said this earlier, but I always keep thinking, who is the ice and who is the fire? Because we used to think like maybe it's Jon, like Jon Snow, like ice, and then Daenerys is the fire.
Right.
But what if it's, you know, the Lord of Light is the fire and the White Walkers are the ice?
Right.
But what if he's the fire
Yeah.
because he's actually a Targaryen who gets reborn through Melisandre, through the Lord of Light?
Or he's the both.
Or
and
he's
he becomes
both.
then he becomes both. What is?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe he's both,
And
right?
you've got the touch plays.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of different options, but that's a very good one that he could sort of marry both of those together inside of
Marries
one man.
himself.
He marries himself.
Do you, Jon Snow, take Jon Snow?
I do.